1 second. Give me 1 second. Okay. Hello, I'm
Okay.
Michael Theory, and with me today I have Jim Schmidt. And I was introduced to Jim Schmidt by Pete Miller, a great Olympic lifter, and he told me that you've been in Olympic lifting for a while now. When did you start Olympic lifting?
First off, my last name is Schmitz, T-Z.
I'm sorry, Schmitz.
Schmitz, T-Z. But that brings up a funny story because in 1968, the Atlanta Falcons drafted a Jim Schmidt and called me by mistake. And so I always like to tell that story that that's T-Z, not D-T.
I'm
But
sorry.
I almost played for the Atlanta Falcons. Anyway, so that was 1968. So it's T-Z. And yeah, what was the first question again?
When did you get into Olympic lifting?
Oh, well, as a young boy, I was interested in football, basketball, and baseball, and I noticed that the best athletes were bigger, faster, stronger. So I wondered how I could get that. And so when I was 15 years of age, my folks finally let me buy some weights and start doing weightlifting and weight training. And so at age 15, I'm building myself up for football and for basic sports, and really fell in love with the weightlifting, bodybuilding, powerlifting programs that I was doing in those days.
Did you compete in powerlifting?
Yes, I competed in powerlifting, in the local level, and uh, back when I was starting off in the gym business in 1968. Well, yeah, in 1968, we did it all. We did powerlifting, bodybuilding, weightlifting. I never competed in bodybuilding. I trained for it, but I could never compete in that. It wasn't my thing. But I did compete in powerlifting, and weightlifting, of course, was my true love. But I, really have a lot of respect for powerlifting as well.
Well, you coached a lot of athletes, right?
Yes.
And you coached them all the way up to the Olympic level?
Yeah, I coached like you know 10 people. I personally coached to 14 Olympic teams, and Ken Patera and Dan Cantori, my first two Olympians, they were already accomplished lifters, but I was able to put the finishing touches on them to get them on the Olympic team. Previously, they would miss the weight they needed, or they would bomb out, or just not do well. So I started coach because of my success coaching Dan Cantori and Ken Patera. Then Bruce Wilhelm came to be trained by me, and Butch Curry and Tom Hertz and so many others started coming because they could see that they could get results training with me. And it was just a knack I had for knowing what a person could lift, how much they could lift, how much work they could do in a training session. Even though I, read all the literature on uh, weightlifting back in those days, our Bible was a Strength and Health magazine. So, read about the Bulgarian programs and the Russian programs, the Polish programs. And of course, we tried those programs and found out they don't work for us because we're coming from a different situation. But so I evolved and developed my own training program based on what U.S. people have time and energy and skill to do. Because weightlifting in the United States is a walk-on sport. A kid has to walk into your gym and want to weightlift, and you just take them and train them as best you can, regardless of their ability. And in the Eastern European countries and China, they go out and select their weightlifters and train them and motivate them. So I had a lot of success with lifters who had the ability, and I had the good fortune of reconnected.
Do you think the reason why some of their programs didn't work in America was because maybe they were using certain drugs and
That is certainly a factor, but the main factor is like University of Alabama. Nobody walks on the University of Alabama to play football. You got to be highly recruited. It's the same thing in China. You don't walk into the weight room and say, "I want to try weightlifting." They select you.
yeah. Well, I think Olympic lifting is a sport that you need to have athletic talent
Oh,
to do.
definitely.
You need to be fast, right? You need to have balance, and You could be a powerlifter without those things, I
Right,
guess, right? You can, I mean, you're not going to be the best powerlifter, but you can enjoy the sport and grow and beat yourself. I think Olympic lifting is not the sport for you if you're not a talented athlete.
right. You have to be fast, explosive, and have
Yeah,
to be mobile. Have to really hit those positions, and you have to have a body that can take the stress on the joints because it's very, very stressful on the joints. And so, right, weightlifters are very, very good athletes. Not saying that powerlifters aren't. We've had a couple powerlifters come over to weightlifting. Mark Henry and Shane Hammond are two examples of powerlifters that were very successful as weightlifters.
can you explain why the Olympic lifting is so hard on the athlete? Because I always thought, until I talked to Pete Miller, that Olympic lifting was easier on the body because you're using less weight. You're not doing a snatch with 1,000 pounds.
Right.
So, like, wouldn't it be less hurtful to
It's
the body? But
it's the stress on the tendons and ligaments because when you are changing direction with a heavy weight, and even though it's may only be 200 kilos, there's an incredible amount of stress on your knees, your elbows, your shoulders. And whereas if you're doing a 300-kilo back squat, you're doing it slow and under control, and it's not this, you're not changing direction real fast. So in weightlifting, it's the changing of direction, which is very stressful on the joints.
yeah, I've just recently learned it, and now when I watch the Olympic lifters now, I have I always had a great respect for them, but now I have a greater respect, because when I see how low they get down and
Right.
how that weight is slamming down on them,
Yes.
I never realized how damaging, how hard that was on the body.
Right. It's Fred Lau, one of our top weightlifters, three-time Olympian. He likes to call weightlifting gymnastics with weights.
Yeah,
As you're doing a very complex movement, especially in the snatch. In the snatch, you're squatting down with your lower body while you're pushing up with your upper body.
wait,
Going
say it again.
in the
You-
snatch, you pull the bar and then you squat down underneath it. At the same time, you are pushing up with your upper body.
Yeah,
So you're
that's
going in two different directions. You're squatting with the lower body and pushing up with the upper body.
yeah. I've only powerlifted, so I can only. I'm
Yeah,
just trying to comprehend that.
yeah.
Yeah, that's
It's,
wild.
it's that change in direction. But surprisingly, again, thanks to CrossFit, we have so many people doing weightlifting and they love it. And they don't care if they're going to be a champion or not. They just love doing the movements.
Yeah,
And so I'm just continue to be amazed at the growth of our sport in recent years because of thanks to CrossFit was the initial thing. Then it's also the internet. They see it on the internet, and so we have thousands of people doing weightlifting, and they're not even thinking about going to a competition. They just like doing the exercises.
yeah. I think that's the only good thing CrossFit is good for. Is is they've for whatever reason, I guess it's less intimidating than just straight up Olympic lifting or powerlifting. People seem to do that first, and then they move into Olympic lifting or
Well,
powerlifting or something else.
powerlifting, weightlifting, boxing have all benefited tremendously from CrossFit because those disciplines are part of the CrossFit program.
Yeah,
And so I've seen, and even bodybuilding. And so I've just seen that CrossFit has had the greatest impact on physical fitness and person and physical training in my lifetime.
yeah. As much as I hate it, yeah, you're right.
Yeah. Well, there's nothing to hate because uh, they CrossFitters buy equipment. So the Rogue barbell, for example, they
Yeah.
were nothing. Now they're a major equipment manufacturer, and then
One day I
all
have to have a good CrossFitter on this podcast and just explain the CrossFit. I don't get it. All right. So how many Olympians have you coached?
I personally trained 10 Olympians to 14 Olympic teams, and then I've had several others who trained with me, but I wasn't really their coach. They just came in for workouts with me and to get my little feedback.
I always ask coaches this question. What do you like better, competing or coaching?
Well, I tell people it's like this: those that can't compete coach, those that can't coach officiate, those that can't officiate administrate, and those that can't administrate spectate. So lifting, being able to lift at the highest level or perform at the highest level in any sport is the ultimate. Then the next ultimate is if you can coach somebody that has the ability to get to that highest level. That's
Yeah.
a real thrill.
I wish powerlifting was in the Olympics.
Well, powerlifting, unfortunately, there's so many federations and there's so many, if powerlifting could, in my opinion, if powerlifting did maybe just the bench press and the deadlift, those two lifts, and they might have a chance. And without, of course, the bench press now is taking on a different life of its own these days.
Yeah. I Maybe if everyone came to agreement on like maybe a single ply suit and
Yeah.
knee wraps or something like that, you know. But I just think powerlifting has a bad reputation as being like a sport that like with steroids.
Well, powerlifting got a bad rap way back in the 60s when it got started, is that they were kind of Neanderthal types,
Yeah.
pretty brutish and gruesome. And yeah, the anabolic is a negative factor, but yeah, powerlifting is, I mean, that's how you develop your strength through the squat, deadlift, and the bench press. I recommend I call the bench press dessert. It's in my program. It's the last exercise. If you've got time and energy after your workout,
Yeah.
you can do bench presses.
What do you think's made you such a successful coach? You know, that's a lot of Olympians to
Yeah,
train over
yeah.
a long period of time.
I have a knack for watching people lift and being able to uh, tell how much more they can lift, or and so watching a person lift, and this took years to develop, but from the very beginning, when I was coaching Dan Cantori and Ken Patera in the beginning, they would take the wrong weights, and I said, no, you need to take this weight because that'll set you up for the next weight. So I learned how by taking certain weights, it sets you up for the next weight. For example, if you want to do 140 kilo press, you don't start with 140, or you don't start with 130 and jump to 140. You might go 130, 136, and then 140. They have a systematic method of taking your weights that you set yourself up for the success. And success breeds success. So by making your first and second attempt, you're going to be very confident for your third attempt.
Yeah, you're in the world of Olympic lifting, and like kilos are just like so natural to you. It seems like I can't stand it. The kilos when I go to a meet and then have to convert everything. It drives me
Yeah.
nuts.
Well, that's how I got my first coaching job. In 1975, I went to the Pan American Games in Mexico City to coach Dan Cantori and Bruce Wilhelm, who I was their personal coach. And the two USA coaches, they did not know kilos. Because we were in the United States, we were just doing pounds in those days. And so they were lost. So I had to coach the team because I had been training my lifters on kilos since 1970. And so I could do the kilos. And in a competition, you can't be pulling out a kilo chart to see what your next weight's going to be. You got to be able to say right now what you want, because otherwise somebody else will take a weight and you'll be out, miss your attempt. So that got my first my first coaching assignment because I knew kilos.
I just have it taped onto the back of my clipboard when I go to meets.
Yeah,
Because I
yeah,
just have to always flip the clipboard.
yeah. Well, the United States tried to go metric way back in the 70s in distances as well as temperature and weights, but the Americans didn't want to do it.
And now I need one on the back of the clipboard and one on the front because the strict curl is all different also. So I need for the power meet and for the strict curl.
Uh-huh.
So what are your views on steroids?
Well, I've been around a long time. I've been around before they were banned, then they were banned, and then they were just don't get caught. And now I'm around and we're not doing them. In the United States, we've been clean since 1988. I mean, there's always going to be a few people that are trying to beat the system. But up until 1980, I say people were just playing that game where don't get caught. And then since 1980, we've gone clean. And so these boys and girls that are lifting these big weights today are very, very, 100% clean, which is impressive. That guys like CJ Cummings and Harrison Morris and a few of the others that can clean and jerk 200 kilos without any artificial steroids or hormones or anything like that. So I having been around through all three phases of the sport and the anabolic steroid issue, I so much prefer clean
Yeah.
because that's why our sport is growing because parents are now willing to let their son or daughter do weightlifting because they know they're going to be in a sport where there's drug testing and strict controls. And so it's so much better being clean than playing the game of trying to beat the test.
Yeah, I was talking with a powerlifter in Iraq. He's in Baghdad, and
Hmm.
apparently there, the steroid issue is like it's just not a problem. Like he said, there's a coach in his gym. He was given a kid as young as 14 steroids.
Right.
You know, so it's just certain countries. I guess it's just viewed
Well,
different.
in certain countries, they do not think steroids are harmful or bad, or and even though they're against the rules, they think it's just like they do it because they think it's necessary because they've never trained clean. And so in Eastern Europe and Iraq and all these countries and China and some of and Thailand and Egypt, they don't think you can lift clean. They don't believe it. So that's why they take it. They think, well, I got to take this because I think that guy's taking them. And so it's an ongoing battle. And the USA, the International Weightlifting Federation, has gone through a big upheaval because we've had the steroid problem for 44 years, ever since this one guy was leading the IWF, the International Weightlifting Federation, because he would look the other way and he would take
Yeah,
money for making sure you passed your test and so forth. And so a lot of countries, Eastern European countries in particular, they just I'm just so amazed that they're still trying to beat the test because they're getting all kinds of drug. We're catching them, and they don't even try to compete clean. They just try to beat the system. And I hope we're always hopeful now that we're going to go through a change of leadership with the International Weightlifting Federation. We hope that the countries will totally get off the drugs and completely. But a lot of them, they don't believe you can lift without them. They think if you want to be strong, you got to squat and you got to take steroids.
yeah. What do you guys squat in
Squat.
training?
Oh yeah,
Yeah,
squat. There's every workout.
I think the squats are important. Uh, even to like if there's people that in powerlifting they just do push pulls and they
Hmm.
avoid the squat because they don't like it because it's hard.
Yeah.
And I just think it just. I mean, these people in their life. I mean, are they going to avoid everything that's hard? It's not. Just do
Well,
it. It's not the end of the world. I don't know. It just to me, it annoys me. These put. I think, yeah.
I'm amazed that people still don't like to squat because
Oh,
when I
people
first
don't like
started
it.
lifting back in 1960, the squats were thought they were going to blow your knees out and your back and stunt your growth. And squats have always been having an uphill battle since I've been lifting. And even the NSCA, they were not, they're like in half squats or bench squats or things like that, where I'm, hips definitely below the knees, and the squats are such a great. If you can only do one exercise, actually, here's my little. If you can only do one exercise, it'd be the clean and jerk because you get a pull, a squat, and a push.
Okay.
If you do two exercises, then you do squats.
Yeah. But one day, I've got to have like Pete Miller or you or somebody like we got to do like a live stream. Like you got to like just teach me how to just move the bar right. You know,
Yeah.
one day we got to do that. Um, do you have any opinions on the powerlifting with the raw or equipped?
Well, I prefer raw because I mean I like people lifting naturally, see who's really strong. I've seen some incredibly strong people. I had this guy Carl Norberg who took up powerlifting at age 68 and age 73 bench press 470,
He
and
started at 68.
yeah, and at age 80 he could still bench press 400 pounds. He weighed about 255 pounds. He was a longshoreman, worked hard all his life. He was an incredibly naturally strong man. He
Yeah.
just always worked hard all his life, never trained. But at age 68, when he retired, he took up powerlifting, and he could deadlift 600, back squat 500 in his 70s. And but his big thing is he liked the bench press, and he benched 470 when he was 73. and just an amazing individual. So that's what I like to see. Who's really strong? Who's got athletic ability, strength, and technique, and so forth, and not some, not a drug or not a super suit or super wraps or anything like that. Just who's really strong. And of course, these world's strongest men competitions. I enjoy them, but those guys are, I don't think there's any drug testing in that one.
I don't think so. Do you have a faith that's helped you through life's hardest moments?
Uh, yes. I mean, it's not. I mean, I'm certainly moderately religious, but I mean, it's just never give up. And when things are bad, you just got to suck it up and hang in there. Like right now, we're all going through this pandemic, and there's it's a terrible thing, and I'm just hanging on, by the skin of my teeth. And I'm doing better than that, but I'm very fortunate that I'm able to survive the pandemic financially, but not to the level that if it wasn't, I would, naturally I'm losing money, but I'm surviving.
Oh, that's right, financially. So, what did you make a living
I
off
made a
of
living.
coaching?
Weightlifting has been my hole where I just throw money into.
Yeah,
Uh,
of
I've
course.
always made my lifting as a coach or a trainer. I had my own gym for 30, for 35 years. And so, doing training of just fitness and body, general training was how I paid my bills. And I did very well with that. And then I had the weightlifting in the back room, and I would go on, and that was kind of a separate thing. And so weightlifting has always been my, uh, thing that my love and my passion. And unfortunately, I've never made any money off weightlifting. I've been able to pay the lights and the rent, but never made real money in weightlifting. But I made money when I had my gym, and people coming in just for general training and fitness.
Yeah. That's usually just, I mean, the story, some of the greatest powerlifters, they have their day jobs and
Yeah,
they gotta schedule in their workouts in between life and and work.
right. Yeah.
It's not easy.
Now and now, of course, a lot of weightlifters are making their money by having CrossFit gyms.
Yeah.
The CrossFitters come in, they have that, but then they do their weightlifting. So CrossFit is supporting a lot of weightlifting gyms around the country and a lot of weightlifting coaches.
Do you have any weaknesses?
Any weaknesses? I mean, strength wise or personal?
Or both?
uh, well, my strength, my weakness now is just getting older. I'm at 75. It's I take a workout with a certain weight and I go, I don't think I'll lift that weight anymore.
Yeah.
But so I still train and try to maintain, my lifting, whatever. It's not very. I lift little weights, but I still work out and I run, jog, and things like that. And so I call it age-related weaknesses what I suffer from now. But as a
Well,
young man, I was stronger than most, but not strong enough to be a world class or even a national level weightlifter.
now you're probably stronger than almost everyone.
My age, right? Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah,
Well, I mean, yeah, so I'm 37, I'm still hitting some PRs,
yeah, yeah.
I know at a point that's not gonna happen,
Right.
and it's gonna be a point of, like, I guess, holding on to and then a decline. I mean, that's gotta be psychologically hard to accept.
It is, and that's why a lot of world class weightlifters don't do the masters program because they've lifted big weights and now they go out there and they're lifting weights that were warm up weights. They can barely lift those weights, and so it's not exciting for them. There's a few, I mean, like Walt Imahara and Fred Lau and Mike Huska were world class weightlifters as young men, and they were maintained through the masters. But a lot of world class weightlifters that have become in the masters program, it's that gosh, this is a weight I used to do for reps, and now I can't even do it for one, and so
Yeah,
as we get older, we have to let go. It's just the fact of life. You can't do a lot of things as we get older.
uh, w would you give yourself any advice if you can go tell yourself something at the beginning of your career?
Uh, well, I there was a time when I should have when in the business when I didn't move my business at the right time, and therefore I lost that location because the gentrification happened in that neighborhood, and the rent went from 4,000 to 20,000, and so if I had so timing is everything. I didn't move at the right time, and
Yeah.
but see, and also now people working out in gyms, warehouses. If you got a warehouse and a bathroom, it's good enough.
Yeah.
In my time, when I was starting my gym business, had to have a sauna, lockers, had to have all the amenities, and that's very, very expensive to have. And so, uh, I often, because I was around before World Gym, before Gold's Gym, and those places went, going on to make buckaroo millions of bucks. And so, I I didn't go that route. I stuck with my, neighborhood gym, and it was a personal facility where everybody knew each other, and then of course I had the weightlifting, but it was a kind of it was a community type gym. But they're the worlds and the golds and like that. They're pure corporate type operations.
There's lots of myths about powerlifting that, like, I know people think about the sport. Uh, are there any about Olympic lifting that you could think
Uh,
of that you'd like to straighten out?
well, it used to be that it was thought it was just too hard, and also people that it only comes around once every 4 years at the Olympics, But so it's really not that hard. And but there are some people out there that like to really get into the biomechanics and physiology and all of the technical scientific aspects of it. And that's good because it lends itself to a lot of studies that can carry over into physical fitness and health. But so the myth about weightlifting is it's really hard. It's not anybody. You can do it. You may not be able to do it at a high level, but you can do it to a level where you will enjoy it.
Yeah.
And anybody, if you can get your arms over your head, you can do it.
Well, I guess that, yeah, that's a myth that, like, I thought of the sport. That's why
Yeah,
I never touched it.
right. People thought, well, you only go in that sport because if you're training for the Olympics, or maybe if you're a shot putter, because the first sportsmen outside of weightlifting to do weightlifting were the shot putters.
Yeah. Have you seen any crazy injuries?
Um, I had one lifter in my gym, and he had a double patella tendon rupture. And it was like he was cleaning 370 pounds, 167.5 kilos. And as he dipped for the jerk, it was as if somebody shot him. It was like a double barrel shotgun going off, and his patella just rolled right up his thigh. And we took him to the emergency room. He got, but he's fine. It was the end of his weightlifting career. Sort of surprising enough, then he took up hockey. But anyway, he blew his knees out, and it was that was probably the worst injury I've seen in my facility. I've had dislocated elbows and other blown knees, and people dropping weights on themselves and getting hurt. Um, and the lifter that had the double knee patella rupture was also on anabolics. Also had been taking cortisone shots for the knees, and so that just made the knee tendon ligaments real brittle.
Yeah.
That's what that happened. And so we don't have, the anabolic steroids, I think, created a lot of injuries because of getting stronger than your tendons were, or you just get uneven balance in your strength, and so we get a lot of injuries from that. Now people train much more sensibly. You have very few injuries of that nature. But things still happen, but there were more injuries back in the day when people were doing anabolics and a lot of other crazy things too.
Yeah, stuff happens. I mean, I knocked myself out cold on the bench press. I went back fast and backed my head right on the bar, I didn't get on the I've dropped plates on my foot. It happens.
Probably the injury that we get in weightlifting that is the most is the ugliest and gets a lot of press is when you dislocate an elbow. It's
Yeah.
kind of a spectacular thing that the elbow goes one way, the barbell kind of falls on them, and it's a painful, ugly looking injury, but it's not that serious. They can put it right back in. And we've had lifters blow their elbow in November and win the Olympics in August. And so it's amazing how you can come back from the elbow injury.
What type of training method do you have? Like, is it like a periodized system? Do you train in like 8-week cycles?
I do 4-week cycles,
4 week?
and and it starts like this. First week is light. We have a new program. We'll go light. Then we step it up for the next week to medium, then heavy, and then maximum. And
Yeah.
that's my basic 4-week cycle. Sometimes it might go 5 or 6, depending if that fifth week didn't go as well as we like. Let's do another week of heavy. Maybe something interfered and you couldn't do it. So it's light, medium, heavy, and maximum 4-week cycles. Now, if it's a high level lifter, this is for my local and national level lifters. If it's someone at the international level that I've been coaching for a while, then I get all kinds of different routines that we do for uh, we have a 4-week cycle where we're training their weakness, and
Yeah.
then the 4-week cycle where we're preparing for the competition.
So inside those cycles, right? So you said like let's say like a moderate day, and let's just say had someone, they were going to snatch 200 kilos that day. Now, would you have them snatch that 200 kilos as many times as they could, or would you have a set number for them to hit?
If that's their absolute maximum,
No, I mean,
no.
like you said, like it's a moderate, like it's a
If,
moderate day.
oh, I say moderate. Okay, yeah. If it's a moderate day, we go up to the top weight and we do 3 sets usually, 3 sets of 1 or 3 sets of 2. So if they're best, we'll use 100 kilos as a good example in the snatch. That's their all-time best. So in training on the moderate day, we'll probably go to 90 kilos,
Yeah.
about 90%.
And you'll tell your athlete, you'll tell them to do 3 sets of 2.
Right, or 3 sets of 1, depending on the athlete. And
Okay.
and if I see that there was really easy, this is where you can't coach by computer or coach by email,
Yeah.
because the coach needs to be there. Oh, we can go a couple more kilos, or oops, let's back it down a little bit. You're not moving as fast
Yeah.
as you were. Maybe you're tired.
Yeah. See, like I find that for coaching, most athletes, you need to tell them, yeah, how what weight and how many reps to hit. But I don't know, for myself, I know how many reps I'm going to get based on the weight. So it's the weight that's really setting the reps. Does that
Mhm.
make any sense?
Oh yeah, definitely.
Okay. All right. I'm glad it made sense to you.
No, I mean, if because that's another thing. Like, let's say your best snatch is 100 kilos, and your best double is 90 kilos for 2. So let's go to 92 and see if we can get 2 with that.
Yeah.
We creep. See, we go up kilo by kilo in many cases. I mean, like I had Mario Martinez, we could go up in 5 and 10 kilo jumps. With my women weightlifters, we go up in 1 and 2 kilo jumps.
Yeah. This was a big argument when I was in college when we started powerlifting. Our coach, everything was, other than the bench, I think everything was 10-pound jumps, like the deadlift, right? It was 10-pound jumps for everyone. And my wife weighed, like 104 pounds at the time. And so for her, going from 215 was, she could hit it for a couple reps, to
Right,
225, she couldn't get.
right,
It was like a mile away, and no one else could see it. And I'm like, well, she needs to go to
right.
220 or 222 and a half, then to,
Yeah,
and
yeah,
then
I like to, yeah.
once she
As
started
close,
training like that, then she started moving.
yeah. The closer we get to the maximum, the smaller the increments. So let's say the 100 kilo person is going to do that. That's going to top out 100 kilos. So they might go 90, and then we might go 94, and then 97, and 99, or even 100. But we take smaller jumps as we get closer to the maximum.
Yeah. And like even for me, like in the strict curl, because the weight is lower, around 100 pounds,
Mhm.
I move 1 pound at a time
Yeah, yeah, yeah,
with the strict curl.
yeah. Well, my new, we now, for many years, the minimum jump was 2.5 kilos in weightlifting. That rule changed in 1995 or 2000 anyway, about 20 years ago, and now you can go up by 1 kilo. And so that's so I go PRs kilo by kilo.
All right. Well, I'm glad I'm in agreement with this coaching with an Olympic coach. I feel I feel
Yeah.
great now. I feel like an Olympic coach. um, oh, I gotta ask you this question. You're an older guy. Sorry to tell you.
Uh,
What's your stance on mirrors and music in the gym?
well, I don't like music when I'm coaching because if I got to say something, I don't want to say, hey, take a time out. Let me get your attention here. I want to, so I want to have, I want to be able, because when I'm coach, I coach several, I used to coach 12 at a time before the pandemic. Now I coach 6 at a time and spread out and all that. And so I want to be able to say something and not be competing with the music. Uh, and what was the other thing you said?
How, so you have a gym, right?
Hmm?
You have a gym? You own a gym?
Well, no, I rent a space
Okay.
in a gym. We share a space with a boxing gym.
Okay.
I'm still coaching, and I got a club and all of that. And I got a space where I can train 12 at one time before the pandemic. But now we don't share equipment. Everybody gets their own bar, and we clean it, and we go from this lifts from the floor to the racks and so forth. And so
Can you,
I need to be able to say something to people, and also I need to be able to hear them. And now we're wearing masks nowadays too. You see,
yeah.
so that even makes it a little more difficult. So I don't want music to be competing against music and any other distractions. I want when you're in the gym, you're there to lift.
And what about mirrors?
Oh, uh, we don't use mirrors in weightlifting, and never have. But it can be a tool if you want. If someone doesn't have a good visualization. Uh, so yeah, we don't use mirrors, and sometimes we'll go to a competition or another training gym, and there's a mirror, and you're lifting and you're watching yourself. It kind of messes you up because you're going, "Wow, I didn't shave today. I need a haircut or something." But
I knew I knew your age, and I knew exactly the answers to those questions. It was
yeah,
gonna be no and no.
yeah.
And something about under 50, under 40 especially, they're like,
Uh,
"Oh, you gotta have music. You gotta have music pumping,
yeah,
and you have to have mirrors."
yeah,
There's, like, some point where, like, the age changes, and it goes from music and mirrors to no music and no
yeah,
mirrors.
yeah. When I had my gym, I had always had a little like background music,
Yeah,
nothing too radical. It wasn't classical or anything like that, but it was just mellow background music.
yeah,
Uh, and so but now what everybody does is they're all got their cell phones and they're videotaping everything they do, and of course they're on their checking out their Instagram in between sets, and then so I accept that. I mean, I tell people the less attention you give to me, the less coaching I'll give to you.
yeah.
It's up to you. And
Well, sometimes I'm by myself,
oh yeah, yeah,
and well, I film it, and, like, I'll send it to Pete Miller,
yeah,
and he'll send me back, "That looks horrible. You have to change that," you know?
yeah, yeah.
So
Yeah.
it works out good sometimes.
No. I have nothing again. These people video all their stuff, and that's cool. But see, I'm again, I guess it's my age thing. I want you to know what it feels like, not so much what it looks like.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Because if you get in a competition, you gotta have the feel for it. And also for heavy weights, I mean, I get some of my lifters, they get hung up on technique. And so my most popular coaching phrase right now is pull hard, move fast, and keep pushing. If you do those three things with all your might, and your technique is off a little bit, you can still be successful. But if you some people because their technique is off a little bit, they stop the lift. Oh, I'm too low on my thighs, and they'll stop, or my back is too this or that. And so I say, man, John Madden, the famous football coach, I like one of his sayings. He said, never mind that the horse is blind, just load the wagon. In other words, just do it.
Yeah.
just just make it happen.
Yeah, I messed myself up once at a competition. I was training, I had music on blasting for all my sets, and, when I went to the competition, I had no headphones.
Yeah, yeah,
And I unracked the bar, and I was like, it just felt, like, so different
yeah.
from my training, and I just had a horrible meet, and that's exactly why.
And see, that's why I also like people to compete, beginners, 4 to 6 times a year, because every situation is different. We had a
Yeah,
competition one time outdoors, and this good humor truck comes by and is playing their music, and it bothered this one lifter, you know. And I said, well,
Yeah.
that's good experience for you because you can be indoors and there can be a baby crying, or there can be someone carrying a loud conversation, you know. There are all kinds of distracting things can happen. And so compete as often as you can, and you know, you'll be more adapted to different things that can go wrong, and you'll be able to write it out.
Yeah, there was someone on our team before I was, I don't know, this is probably in the early '80s, it might be before, around, I don't know, when I was, like, born, because our team was started in 1978, and, we carry it on, and but so our coach who started the team, he had a guy, Brian, who had a horrible time with, like, focusing,
Mhm.
and, they started turning the lights on and off when he was squatting and throwing stuff at him, just doing everything they could to just mess with him, to get him to be able to focus, and it worked.
Yeah, yeah, no, that's why I tell people, you know, just because we share this facility with the boxing. So when the boxers are doing their thing, it can be distracting, but that's good for you. You know, they're punching their bags and screaming and hollering and all that shit. Uh, that's good, you know, because every situation is different. Like I said, we competed at a competition one time where there was a big mirror on the opposite wall, and so you get down in your position, and as you're going through the lift, all of a sudden you're seeing yourself on the mirror,
Yeah,
and that was a big distraction. So you had to get used. So you have to compete often or train in different environments so that you're more comfortable uh, when things aren't just right. Because some people get like we have, you know, I have several. We lift with Alico bars. I've got and I've got like 6 different Alico bars from you know they're different years, and some people everybody's got their preferential bar for some reason. They just like the feel. They're almost identical, but there is a little difference, and they just. But when you go to competition, you have to warm up on one bar, maybe compete on another bar, you know. So
yeah.
you have to be flexible when you go to competitions for a different environment.
Well, so you know what? You guys don't need any equipment other than the bar.
We need platforms and bar, and we need a sturdy building.
I never even thought of that. I was like, you guys don't need squat racks,
Oh,
benches.
oh, we use squat racks, yeah,
Oh yeah, but I'm just, yeah, for, I
yeah,
guess for the
yeah.
competition, it's a lot
Oh,
easier.
right, right.
The competition, how does it run? Same three, you get 3 attempts and just
Yeah, you get 3 attempts in the snatch, and then 3 attempts in the clean and jerk, and
the
your
three
highest successful
officials.
snatch. There's 3 officials, yeah, an
Yeah.
announcer, and that's like the skeleton crew, 3 officials and an announcer.
I always found that I started powerlifting in 2001, and I've been amazed at the sport, that the athletes that compete, how nice everyone is to each other. How will everyone will stop what they're doing to help the next person, or someone needs help loading something, a girl needs help loading. But I found the sport to have just really amazing people in it. Like, what about Olympic lifting?
The same thing because you know we're competing against each other, but if you outlift me, that's not anything against me. That's I mean you just outlifted me. I couldn't keep up with you. Um, there's sometimes in the warm up room if it's crowded, some people get a little testy about, hey, I'm warming up here and you can't warm up here. Well, we've got to share the equipment, you know. So sometimes get a little testy in the warm up room, but generally, uh, weightlifters are very peaceful people uh, because they're competing against gravity and
Yeah.
and you too. But you know, it's they can't get mad at you if you outlift them because you outlifted them. It's not their fault.
Muscles for athletic, muscles for look, and not for what you need in Olympic lifting. Are there any muscles that you train just because you want to look good?
Well, if you're a serious weightlifter, no, you just do weightlifting, and as you, if you look at some of the, especially the Chinese weightlifters, uh, what incredible bodies they have. You know, they're incredibly muscular, and that's all from weightlifting.
Yeah.
And there's like a, what's his name, Klokov. You know, he's the kind of the Arnold Schwarzenegger of the CrossFit set. You know, and he's a champion weightlifter, and he's got an incredible body. Um, so weightlifting gives you a great body, except for the you know the big guys, you know, the big guys and the big gals, they're a little fleshy, but everybody around 220 pounds down is very, very muscular, fit bodies.
In powerlifting, like we ignored like biceps. At least a lot of people I know didn't really. They did curls, but the focus wasn't there to grow that muscle. Triceps were important for the bench, but now with the strict curl becoming an event, all of a sudden, like biceps are like a huge concern for a lot of people with that in the federations.
Yeah. Yeah, way back in 1960, 1964, I competed in a powerlifting contest that was included the curl. And I thought that was interesting. So back in those days, powerlifting was called odd lifting
Yeah,
because it wasn't really that well organized. And so they would say, okay, we're going to do deadlift and curls, or we're going to do deadlift and bench press, or bench press and squat, and curls. They would do different lifts, one arm deadlifts. They were very friendly competitions, and it was called odd lifting because you do different lifts. And it became powerlifting officially in 1964.
let's see. I know your stance on steroids, but I don't. Isn't not steroids, but I think it'd probably kill you at your age. Pre-workout.
Oh, well, yeah, people are really into the pre-workout things, and they go, well, way back in my youth, we had a drink called Jolt that
Yeah,
advertised all the sugar and twice the caffeine,
yeah.
and it was pretty good.
It's
uh,
basically pre-workout.
huh?
It's basically pre-workout.
Yeah,
Same
yeah,
thing.
yeah. So my pre-workout back in the day was Energol with honey.
Yeah,
The Strength and Health magazine used to sell this Energol, like that would give you energy. It was wheat germ oil, and but it tastes terrible, so they put honey in with it, and it tasted okay. So that was our. So people are always looking for something that gives them a little energy. And for me, at this age now, it's just coffee. I don't know, but a lot of my young people, they have their various energy drinks that they like, and that's cool as long as it's there's been some methamphetamine slipped into some of these products that you have to be careful of.
yeah. Back in like 7, 8, 9, 10. Back in like 2012, they had the product on the market, Jack 3D,
Uh-huh.
and that had some sort of like I don't know what like the extra terms were, but in the middle of it was meth.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Let me tell you that I was in uh, the NYPD at the time, and the whole every male on that department that was working out was taking this stuff, and it would turn you into like a caveman in the gym.
Yeah.
You would just go in there like an animal. Like my wife would hate to be around me if I took this stuff because I just like pick her up and grab her and drink. It just turned you into a caveman.
I know that substance you're talking about. I remember there a few people got popped in weightlifting because they were taking it, and then when they found out that it was inadvertent retaken, a banned substance, their suspension was like 3 months instead of a year or two.
Yeah,
And
because it was stuff that you can get in GNC.
right, exactly, and it was slipped in there, and I know a few people that got caught on that, and they had a 3 month suspension, and so I've been around through all the different things that have been added to the forbidden list. I mean, basically, initially in 1976, it was just anabolic steroids and amphetamines, and then each year they started adding things, testosterone and asthma medication, clenbuterol, and different, because people are always finding something else to give them a little edge, and so then they would have to ban it.
It was funny enough, the NYPD didn't have steroids as a banned substance till like 2010. Some captain got caught buying it illegally, and so then they added it. They made it banned, and the whole of the NYPD, the mass, we must have lost at least like I don't know 10,000 pounds of muscle mass. The whole department shrunk. All these big guys just weren't that big anymore.
Well, I sponsored or hosted the police powerlifting Olympics one year, back in the 70s, and these guys they were getting nosebleeds squatting, and their backs were bursting with acne, and they were higher than kites. I mean, I thought these are they're California policemen, and
Yeah.
well, if you want to bust people for drugs, but you can start right here, because they were on anabolics, amphetamines, and you name it. It was quite a show, and and all good guys, but that's what people did in that sport then.
So in powerlifting, I know the women are constantly peeing
Oh yeah.
themselves while they're lifting. And I know a lot of guys have had this, but like when I deadlift, when I hit like a PR in the deadlift, it's like a celebration. I wind up pooping my pants all the time.
Oh
It's
wow.
and what you get vomiting. I've seen all this stuff around powerlifting. Like, what about in weightlifting? Does it
Well,
happen?
weightlifting, I call it the clean, pee, and jerk. It's very common with the women.
Yeah.
And so the women that I coach, when it's like maybe 3 or 4 attempts before they're going to lift, I say, go to the bathroom. Even if you don't have to go, just go there and try to go. And therefore, they usually then they won't pee on the platform. But that's very common. And then you got to clean up the platform, and that slows things down. And the girls aren't upset or offended by it. It's kind of a natural thing. But it's upsetting if you're the next lifter. You want to make sure that platform's been cleaned up.
Uh,
The first time I saw that happen was at a powerlifting competition in Southern California. And Jan Todd, Jan Todd?
no.
Well, Jan Todd was Terry Todd's wife, and they're big. He was one of the founders of powerlifting. Terry and John Todd were original powerlifting organizers. Anyway, she peed on the platform doing like a 500-pound deadlift, and I go, oh, and she was not upset at all. But yeah, Terry and Jan Todd are real movers and shakers in the powerlifting world. Yes, and he's passed. He was 80 and he died. She's still alive, but they've got the museum on strength and physical culture in the University of Austin, Texas. And so I keep meaning to go there because it's, the York Barbell has a sort of museum, but they kind of went on it. They sort of stopped keeping it up in 1993 when John Turpak died. But it's great to see, the history of your sport and the history of, I've got all kinds of books on the history of weightlifting and powerlifting, and I've got magazines and books. I've been a fan and advocate since 1960. So I got a
You
lot
know
of
what?
stuff.
Can you email me the names of any good powerlifting history books, and I'll buy them, and I'll just post it on Instagram for people because yeah.
Well, I'll email you, John. I got John Fair's, because he's the guy that's now running this museum on strength and physical culture. And now, and I can think about what books I have that, I don't know. I got a lot.
I've been to the York
I
Museum.
really need to organize them.
I've been out to York to the museum there.
Yeah,
That's
yeah,
cool.
yeah. That is cool. And like I say, John Turpak was the last of the founding fathers. When he died, the company got sold to a Canadian company, and they lost out big time, because if they were still in business for barbells and Olympic weightlifting, they would have caught this CrossFit wave, and there wouldn't be a Rogue, there'd be a York barbell. But
Yeah.
Rogue is around the world now. They're billionaires. They've really cashed in on everybody's doing weightlifting and powerlifting and CrossFit, and they need barbells.
Oh man, I'm so happy I have all my equipment and everything.
Right, right.
Before all this, I've got all my stuff for almost free. Now it'd be a
Yes,
fortune to
yes. I know
buy.
all the barbell companies and exercise equipment have been making a landslide business, just like the Zoom business is a landslide because of the pandemic.
Yeah, for the last, I don't know, almost 15 years, I've just been going around to gyms that closed down and buying equipment and
Yeah, yeah.
finding people that don't want their dumbbells and weights and whatnot. I just make almost everything for free, and people would kill for the stuff now.
I've gotten some good stuff that way too. Well,
Uh,
listen, I've got to go.
okay,
So
thanks a
been
lot. I learned a lot
good
about
time.
Olympic lifting. It was cool.
Yeah. Okay.
I'll
Well,
I'll I'll talk to you by email. Okay.
okay. Okay. Good luck and good lifting.
Thanks a lot. Bye.
Okay. Bye bye.